welcome to the Flame and Fiber podcast. My name is Barbara. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Diva S. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the new subscribers. Welcome to my old friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all the lovely comments. Thank you for everyone who has entered into the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm over 1,000 subscribers. It's really crazy, amazing, and I want to thank you all. And so I am having a giveaway. My glasses were so glary when I put the camera on and looked at it. So I have them up here to be flipped down because I can't read, and I'm, so I don't know if the glare will be more annoying or me putting my glasses up and down. I don't know. We'll see. I try not to be too annoying. I know that's not always possible because, sometimes I'm annoying. Luckily, there are people who love me anyway. Anyway, so I'm having a 1,000 subscriber giveaway, and this is the gift along with, if I ever get in the studio, which I'm planning to. These are 2 skeins of hedgehog fiber sock yarn in the color Urchin, which I love, love, love. And some other goodies, which might include some stitch markers that I have made. And there is a prompt in the Ravelry thread, in the Ravelry group. There's a Ravelry group for the Flame and Fiber podcast. Please join it if you are on Ravelry. And there's a sticky at the top for the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. And the question is, tell me about something amazing or wonderful that has happened to you or that you have accomplished. Something that just kind of blew your mind. And if you're not part of Ravelry, then you can comment on the video and tell me something that's wonderful and amazing, and I could read my notes. It says, what surprising or amazing thing have you achieved or has happened to you? See, I wasn't kidding. Really glary. So you can either mention that down below in the YouTube comments or on the Ravelry thread. And thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for liking the videos. It's helping people find me, which is so much fun. And I really, really appreciate it. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I live in Southeast Pennsylvania, one of the most western suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm about halfway between Philadelphia and Lancaster. And we have been having beautiful weather the last week. It poured yesterday for a while, and it was gloomy and icky yesterday. But the days before and today, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I've been sitting out here this morning, and it wasn't until I decided, okay, I'm going to do my podcast real quick because I'm going to my parents tomorrow, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it. And I bring my stuff outside, and then I hear the cicadas. I was out here this morning having my coffee. I didn't hear the cicadas then. I didn't even notice them. I'm sure they were there. I just didn't notice them. So I hope they're not too loud. They're not as loud as they have been, and I think it has been okay. So I hope that's still the case. Well, I am back. I'm a little late with this podcast. I do try to do them every 2 weeks, but it doesn't always work. I have been back about a week from my cruise with my sister. I talked about that last week. She treated me to a very lovely cruise from Manhattan to Bermuda and back. And we had a wonderful time. It was a nice time, a sister's trip, and that was fun. And we were in the Haven on the Norwegian Escape, which is what they call a cruise within a cruise. It's a very exclusive area. There are only about 300 people who are there. It has its own restaurant. It has its own deck. It has a pool. The pool is quite small. A couple of hot tubs, sauna. I mean, it's a very fancy place. It's concierge service. And, it has these special services so that you go down like the back elevator. If you want, when we were getting off the ship in Bermuda, you go down to the back elevator that lets you out there right at the door, and you kind of cut the line. I mean, you do cut the line. It's really crazy. And when we disembarked, it was the same thing. Oh, and when we got on the ship, there was a whole separate line for the Haven, and we just took us right up. It was very elitist, to tell you the truth, but it was lovely. And the restaurant was amazing. The food was delicious. We went to, my sister got the restaurant package, so we were able to go to 3 of the fancy restaurants on Norwegian. I've never been on Norwegian before, and I don't know how it works. On Holland America, they have these upscale restaurants that have an upcharge, and the upcharge is like $20. You pay $20 and you go to this fancy restaurant because you've already paid for dinner, and so this is an additional $20. But the pricing in these restaurants, it was like, we went to the steakhouse and the bill was like $135. And I mean, we didn't, we got it for nothing because we had this dinner package, and I guess most people are buying dinner packages but I can tell you that steakhouse was very disappointing. And we actually told it, because we were in the Haven, people cared about our opinions. And so the big wigs on the ship came around. They had a reception for us, and the food person came around, and I told her what I thought about the Cagney's, which is the fancy restaurant. I mean, the food was okay. Well, and actually, I forgot to tell her, but actually the food was not great. I had ordered a beefsteak tomato salad. I stayed on my low carb diet the whole time, and it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard, but I ordered this tomato salad, which would have been a little bit of carbs. Now, this is August. The trip was in August. We left from New York City, which has to have an amazing vegetable market somewhere where people all over the New Jersey and New York are bringing produce into New York City. It's August. The Jersey tomato is famous, and let me tell you, the Jersey tomatoes are amazing. I mean, they are delicious. You just want to eat them like an apple. I mean, they're amazing. This is a standard on their menu, beefsteak tomato salad. It was horrible. It was crunchy. It was horrible. Why would you? And it was the standard on their menu. So, I don't know. I mean, if they can't get an edible tomato leaving New York in August, how could they possibly expect to have a good tomato any other time of the year? I mean, I couldn't believe it. I took one bite and didn't finish it. Not that I didn't have plenty to eat, and the surf and turf was delicious because surf and turf is on my diet. But it was, so that was disappointing. And we ate at the French restaurant. The French restaurant was really good. I will give you that. But I think the bill was $100, $120, $150, something like that. And then we ate at the Brazilian restaurant, which was the churrascaria, where they slice the meat onto your plate. That's really on my diet. So those are the 3 places we ate other than the Haven restaurant. But the Haven restaurant was really, really good. The menu was somewhat limited. I mean, it wasn't huge, it had lots of stuff on it. I mean, 10 entrees to choose from, I guess, for dinner. And they always, every night they had one special, but the menu didn't change otherwise. The lunch menu was always the same, no special. And the breakfast was always the same, no special. So I guess if you got tired of that food, or there weren't enough things on that menu that you wanted to eat, you could go to any of the restaurants on the whole ship. So, but we didn't. We were happy with the menu, and the food was delicious. So anyway, the cruising was lovely. We felt very pampered. The concierge was like, here, we had a butler. She brought us food every day in our cabin at 4 o'clock munchies. Unfortunately, she didn't get the whole no sugar thing, so we had cookies, we had chocolates, we had all this stuff. Occasionally, she brought us a hors d'oeuvre thing that I could eat the tops off the bread. My sister is not doing keto. I'm trying to convince her she should, because I think she could. It would help her, but so she ate some of the stuff in the cabin and that kind of stuff, but But still, we had a butler. It was crazy. It was crazy. And it did feel like a cruise within a cruise. We did not get the sense we were on a ship with 4,000 people. I mean, our lounge chairs overlooked another deck and overlooked like the water park. There was like a water park on the top of the ship, and the kids were lined up with their tubes, and they were, you know, doing stuff. We couldn't see them go down, but we could see them line up the tubes and doing all this stuff. Sort of, they had some kind of tether where they were walking out on boards and, you know, rope things and stuff. I mean, it was like an amusement park on the top of this ship. Crazy. But it never, for us, ever felt like it was a giant ship. Except, like, when we had, my sister can't do steps, and we were on the 14th deck, and the Haven, all the Haven stuff was started at 17, 18, and 19. And so we had to take elevators to get up to the Haven, and elevators to get up from the, you know, the safety drill and things like that. And the getting up and down the elevators sometimes was a trick because there were a lot of people. Those were the only times we even knew all those people were on the ship. And when, you know, I walked around, and we, you know, when we wandered around some of the decks and stuff, and, you know, you didn't, it was a huge ship, so it didn't feel crowded. Even, you know, when we were out looking at the shopping, and who goes, oh, and we went to the art auction. You know, they have, I don't know if you've been on a cruise, you know, they always have an art auction. And so they have this art. And I think like Peter Max is supplying art to every cruise ship in America. And so there's always Peter Maxes and stuff. And Thomas Kincaid prints. I mean, they're not actual paintings, they're prints, but they're going for thousands of dollars. And they had some kind of Salvador Dali's. They were like two, they were signed special printings. I mean, they weren't one of a kinds. They were signed special printings, I think. Two of them together. They went for $17,000. Can you imagine spending $17,000 for art on a ship? And now that I say that, I think one of the Peter Maxes went for $30,000. And you just want to say, you know, you could go to an art gallery and get something really kick-ass for $30,000. I mean, but it was fun to watch. It was very strange, I gotta say. It was very strange. So that was our entertainment one evening. And we went to a comedy show, and we went to a jazz, you know, like a recreation of the Cotton Club. And so there was jazz and, you know, Duke Ellington and music and that kind of stuff. And that was really, really nice. And we saw another musical thing that was also a dinner theater. So we had to pay for that. But we didn't eat the dinner. We waited till after dinner. We went up to the Haven restaurant. It was yummy. Anyway, we had a wonderful cruise. Bermuda was gorgeous. My sister can't get around very well. You know, she can't do the steps. And so we just ended up hiring a taxi kind of guide. You know, they have what they call blue flag taxis there, and they're $50 an hour. And they drive you around and tell you what you're seeing. And it worked out beautifully. Really nice guy. Lionel took us around, and he was born and raised in Bermuda, and he gave us all the skinny on all the places and stuff. And so we got to see the island very well, and that was a nice tour for us. And we walked, there was a nice little, very small shopping area just off the ship, and we walked around that one of the other days. We were there for 3 nights. We woke up, so we left on Sunday, 2 days at sea, Monday, Tuesday. We woke up on Wednesday in docked. And so we could have gotten off on Wednesday, but we had a little bit of an iffy stomach going on between the two of us. And so I walked over to the pharmacy and got some medicines. And so we stayed close on the ship on Wednesday and solved the problem. And then, but we were in the hot tub and we were getting our vitamin D. I've been working on getting my vitamin D. I don't know if you can tell. And had a lovely day, quiet day. And then Thursday we had our taxi, and then Friday we walked around a little bit, not too much. And then we left Friday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, and got back to New York, to Manhattan on Sunday morning. And it was a little windier. You could tell you were on a ship that Saturday going home. You couldn't even tell you were on a ship the rest of the time. That's how steady it was. But so you know, I mean, it wasn't bad in the least. But you know, you felt like you should hold on when you're walking down the hall, and you knew you were. And it was windy, and it was a little rougher, and the water park was not open on the way home. So that was kind of too bad for the kids. But the service was lovely. The ship was very nice. The people were amazing. And we had a great time. We really had a great time. Got a massage. That was fun. And it was nice to spend time with my sister. And that was fun too. So anyway, that was my trip. I'll put some pictures at the end. I didn't take a lot of pictures. We did a lot of talking. I didn't do a lot of knitting. We did some reading, you know. I was really just chilling, really chilling. Somehow these days I'm not necessarily knitting when I'm chilling, so I don't know what that's all about. You know, I'm not sure how much a knitting podcast I'm going to be giving you if I'm not knitting. But I did some knitting. Well, my first, I didn't even open this. I don't even know if this is going to be, I might have torn it out. Nope, I didn't. So, I talked to you about doing the canopy shawl. I thought I would take that, and I did. Canopy shawl by Mandarine. This was a gift from the lovely Linda, the pattern. And as I was talking, I was thinking, oh, I have some yarn that was dyed by the same people who dyed the yarn that I used in my Novelli, and it would make a great shawl because it's got the colors. Are you seeing the colors? I'm not sure you're seeing the colors very well, but I guess that's the best. It's got a little of the pink. It's got the apricot. So I thought, oh, well, that'll be something I can knit on the ship. Well, it calls for 2 sizes of needles, and I have 2 needles in my bag. Turned out they were both the same size. And they were both the wrong size. They were the size that was for the edge, not for the body. But I said, screw it, I'm going to knit it anyway. What the hell? So I started it. Oh, that's the wrong side. So I started it. So I'm sitting there. My sister has been knitting on the same, well, she comes every few months to visit my parents, and every time she comes, she brings her knitting, and her knitting never progresses. She had a very, very tough pattern, and it was the kind of pattern where not every row has the same number of stitches, and it wasn't, you know, it was a free pattern. It wasn't super well written. It was confusing. I tried to help her. I'm not sure I got it right. I mean, you know. So finally, she took her yarn back to the yarn shop where she bought it, and she said, I can't knit this scarf with this yarn. Can you recommend a pattern for me for this yarn that is some kind of a scarf? And the woman said, yes, here, knit this. And she gave her the staircase by Tristan of Dragon Horde Yarns. I forget now, I can't remember. Something staircase. And it's a lovely shawl, and I didn't even realize that it was free. It'll come to me after I'm done. It'll come to me. So she started that, and she was there, and it's, you know, it's got stockinette, bands of stockinette and bands of simple yarn over knit two together lace. And you do, you know, you start at the corner and you increase. And so it's a very shallow, whatever that shape is, you know, crescent. It's a very shallow crescent, which is a lot like a scarf, and that's what she wanted. She really wanted a scarf. And so, so she was starting that. And it helped that I was there because she had to do purl two-togethers and things like that. And so I helped her do that. And she kept, you know, her count kept being off by one, and I helped her figure out how to do it and get her count right and stuff. So that was nice. I was able to do. That's going to bother me, something staircase. You know the one. Tristan from Dragon Horde Yarns. So anyway, she started that, and I started my canopy. And, you know, I got 3 rows in, maybe 3, 2 and a half. And then I'm looking at the charts. I don't know if you can even see those charts. It's very light. They printed out so light, but those are the charts. Those are the charts. So I'm sitting there on the balcony. Gorgeous weather. Relaxing in our suite. I did take some pictures of the suite, so you'll see that at the end of this. Just chilling, having a martini. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? You don't want to do those charts? What are you, crazy? And I kind of said this out loud, and she said, yeah, and you don't even have the right needle size. And I'm like, yeah, and I don't even have the right needle size. So that was it for that. So so that's what I started on. But I do like this yarn. I wish I could get a better view of it. Maybe next time, or maybe I'll take a picture of it. I won't. But I did bring socks too. I brought a 2 brand new sets of sock yarn to make socks. So I started some socks. I'm gonna make Vanilla is the New Black. And I don't know if you can see that, but this is what the heel looks like. The whole point of the Vanilla is the New Black is the heel. And I am using Knit Picks Stroll, I think. Don't tell me no, I do not have the tag, but I think it's a Knit Picks Stroll, and I will try to find the tag and figure out which color it is. But I've had this for a super long time. In fact, it was all balled up into 2 balls. Oh, there's some sunshine. I don't know if that helps or not. But it's real pretty. It's got pinks and blues. And, you know, and it's at 75-25, so it's going to be nice and sturdy. Not my favorite for warmth, but now that my socks are starting to get holes in them, sturdy is starting to sound good. I do like an 80-20 at least to keep me warm. I'm knitting these on size 1s, and these are carbons. I always knit 2 at a time. I think these are 32s though. Well, these are not 40s, but they work. And they're top down, and they're just gonna have the Vanilla is the New Black by Anna Fletcher. Oh, I did that without my glasses on. Anna Fletcher. I like that. I like the way that heel fits me. It's easy to do 2 at a time. And so I am just about ready to start, because this heel, you start working on it a little bit high up in the back of your foot. So you only need about, they say 5 inches. That may not be 5 inches. I might keep going before I start the heel, but anyway. So I did knit. I knit some socks. I knit a little bit of this after I got home, but that's what I was knitting on the ship. And you know, when you're sitting in the sun, socks are good to knit. So that's the knitting I took on my trip. Now I have, oops, I'm gonna wiggle you because I put the books, you're on books. Put the books on top of my knitting. I'm also knitting the Cityscape. I don't have good pictures for these. I tried to print something on the color printer this morning before this, and it did not work. I'm gonna get 2 copies of that picture when Dennis tries to print something and fixes it. Okay, this is called the Cityscape Tank by Lisa K. Ross. And it's got some nice detail here. And I am playing yarn chicken with this. I thought I would know whether I won or lost by this time, but I don't. This is how much I have left. I did finish the back. And I'm working on the front. So this is the Cityscape. It's got sparkles. I don't know if you can see the sparkles. I can see the sparkles great, but I've got the sun behind me. So, can you see the sparkles? Anyway, it's got this ribbing detail on the sides. I think you can see that, maybe not. I can't see if you can see it because I don't have my glasses on. But this is it. And so I finished the back. And now I'm working on the front. But I have quite a bit to go on the front. And I do not have quite a bit of yarn. So I am not feeling confident. I am on my yarn no-buy year, which means I'm not supposed to buy any yarn. Now, if I were Leslie and I are doing a knit-along, which I'll talk about right after this. If I were Leslie, I would find something wonderful in my stash and just make the front different. But I don't have anything that goes with it, I don't think, in my stash. This yarn is Sunseeker. I made a sweater for my daughter-in-law out of this yarn, and I thought I had enough. I don't know why I thought I had enough. Sunseeker by Cascade Yarn. Oops, here comes the glasses. Cascade Yarns. And it's in the color 04. So I may, you know, I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. I don't want to just be silly about this whole yarn no-buy thing. But on the other hand, I am really enjoying my yarn no-buy thing. But I may go to Stash, go on Ravelry and see if anybody has a half ball of this in this color, because I'm not going to need very much. Oh, I am going to my parents tomorrow. I may just bite the bullet. I bought this yarn several years ago at the yarn shop not far from my parents. I am going to my parents tomorrow. So I might stop at the yarn shop on my way out of town and see if she has any more of this. I mean, it's been years, so it's very unlikely that she does. But we shall see. I'll decide whether I want to buy yarn or not. I don't want to be silly about it, but I'm really enjoying not buying yarn. I haven't bought yarn. It's almost a year now. The last yarn I bought was the yarn I bought for my granddaughter's sweaters, and I bought that last October. And so it's September 4th? 3rd? 3rd. September 3rd. Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. So it's almost a year. It's been 11 months since I bought anything. Next weekend is New Jersey Sheep and Wool, which is a very small event compared to other states' sheep and wools. But it's a really manageable, you know, it's got one big barn full of vendors and lovely vendors. The Crafty Toads will be there. I met them there 3 years ago. And I haven't been able to go the last couple of years because our annual trip to the Outer Banks has gotten in the way. But this year we're going in October. So I could go, except I'm not buying any yarn. So it's going to be hard. And I am going to Rhinebeck, which is, you know, why do I do this to myself? And I worry that buying this yarn is sort of going to be the, you know, first crack in my yarn no-buy year, which was supposed to be till the end of this year, even though I haven't bought anything since October. So anyway, whatever. Ramble. So Leslie of the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast and I are doing a year-long craft-along. And she's in her second year of not buying yarn. She did make one caveat at the beginning of her plan, that because she was going to a yarn event, and she did allow herself to buy a couple skeins of yarn. On the other hand, her husband buys her yarn, her friends buy her yarn, her friends send her yarn, so she actually acquires an amazing amount of yarn during her yarn no-buy year. So her goal of emptying one of her 3 cabinets, I don't think that's working, but it's kind of hilarious. And she loves getting the yarn, and I don't blame her. Of course she does. But it's not helping her cupboard situation. But she could just buy another cupboard. I mean, really, let's be real. So so anyway, so we are doing this craft from your stash craft along in both of our groups. So if your yarn or fiber was in your stash at the end of 2018 and you started your project in 2019, it qualifies. There's no restriction on size or whatever. And if you find yourself in the situation I am in, where you're gonna lose yarn chicken, it's fine. You can buy another and it would still count. It just has to be, you know, just a little bit to go, not the whole thing. So I have a finished objects thread and a chatter thread in my Ravelry group, and Leslie has the same. And we are giving yarn prizes we are giving prizes from these 2 threads at the end of each quarter. So the end of September. So at the beginning of October, my first podcast in the beginning of October, I will be drawing for prizes. Yarn prize from the finished object thread and a pattern prize from the chatter thread. And if you put your finished object in the finished object thread, put it also in the chatter thread so people can chat about it and tell you how gorgeous it is and ask you questions and things, because the finished object thread is a no chat thread, so people can't chat. They can only tell you they like it by clicking the like. So, and Leslie has the same, and she's doing the same with prizes. So, and be sure and put in both. And be sure and tag them if you're on Instagram as StashCal 2019. I'll put it on the screen. I hope I remember. And be sure, if you're not watching Leslie, I can't believe that would be the case, but if you're not watching Leslie, she has a lovely podcast. She's such a lovely woman. And I got to meet her last year in October. We spent the afternoon together, and she really is as lovely in person as she is on her podcast. She has a once-a-month podcast. She puts it up at the last weekend of the month, and I look forward to it every month. So she has a relatively new one from last weekend, or the weekend before, whatever. So anyway, so that's my dilemma about my Cityscape tank, and I know I'm going to lose at Yarn Chicken on that, so I've lost a little bit of the steam on that, but I had just started the back last podcast, so I did make some progress. It is easy knitting something that I don't have to think about too much, you know, which is apparently what I want these days. I am not looking for, but I also have been stitching, and I finished one thing, and I could be wrong. I think I finished this after I podcast, because I think this was only partially done in my last podcast. I'm doing, and I forgot the book. I have a book, 101 Christmas Motifs, and I finished my gnome. Didn't he turn out cute? That back stitching makes such a difference. That outlining is back stitching. Turns out I really like to back stitch, which I'm so tickled about, because it just everything pops, you know. I have no idea if you're interested. There's my messy back. But so this is the second one of these I've finished. I'm tempted to try to do the 12 Days of Christmas, but since I'm being slow about this too, I don't know. And I have worked on my Behold. Oh, and I took a picture before I started, so I'll put it up there. That's where I was. I did not make a ton of progress. Last time I had made so much progress. This time I did not make quite so much progress. I just did a little work on the main character's cape and a little bit on his jerkin underneath. You'll see you can see the colors though. There's like blue and a little bit of rust. And that's all I did. That was it for my stitching. I've been a little ho-hum, I don't know. Been reading a lot. And so that's my making. My making has been a little puny, I guess. So, puppy news. Maze was spayed 2 days before I went on my cruise. Now Dennis scheduled this. He knew I was going to be away. We had her spayed on Thursday. I was leaving on Saturday because I went to New York on the train and met my sister, and we stayed overnight in the hotel and then went to the boat. So she was spayed on Thursday. So we have a not quite 6-month-old puppy and a 2-year-old puppy who are very used to wrestling and running around and playing or whatever, and neither Dennis nor I were very good about keeping them calm, unfortunately. And so Dennis texted me on Sunday. I think it was Sunday. It's always Sunday when these things happen. And so he said, I'm taking Maisie to the emergency vet. Looks like she's pulled open some of her stitches. I'm like, okay. So he went to the emergency vet, and they put some staples in and told him she had to be on the cone of shame for 10 days. Now, we didn't even keep, part of our problem is we didn't want her in that poor cone. So Dennis had to put her in the cone, and she kept getting out of the cone, and so he finally figured out how to rig it so she could live her life with the cone, because she figured out how to get through the dog door with the cone. She was running around with the cone. She was hilarious eating. She just put her face down, and it was like she was covered up her whole dish. Anyway, so the whole time I was gone, Dennis had the 2 dogs and Maisie in a cone. I felt terrible, but he did good, but he didn't get anything done the whole time I was gone. He was just doing dogs. And I felt bad, although my secret self, I was really happy I wasn't there and having to deal with Maisie in the cone. I was glad I wasn't the one who scheduled the spaying, I mean, I warned him, I'm not going to be here. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It wasn't fine. Poor thing. So they were so happy. My dogs were so happy to see me when I got home. And, and it was, it's hard to cuddle Maisie, and she's got these big fluffy ears in there. On the inside, she's scratching at the outside of her cone because her ears are itchy. So anyway, so she got her staples out. She's perfectly fine. Her stitches look good. She's out of the cone. And the dog, I'll put a picture of her in her cone. So everything's fine. She wasn't traumatized, and she's all healed up, and they're wrestling and playing and having a great time. So that was the big drama while I was gone. So other than that, everything is going good. I'm going to my parents tomorrow. They have the go-ahead to move into they're moving into an assisted living apartment. And they have gotten everything they need. Oh, and the other thing is, my sister called me. I guess we talked on Friday night. We were meeting in New York on Saturday. We talked on Friday night. You know, we were packing and everything. Everything was fine. 20 minutes later, she calls me back. I just talked to John. John is our brother who lives in State College where my parents live. And he says, Mama's in the hospital. I'm like, so apparently she fainted on her way to the doctor. And they put her in the hospital, and she had like some kind of pain in her leg, and she was weak, and her blood pressure was really low. I'm like, OMG. So I'm like calling my brother. Should we, instead of going on this cruise, should we come? And he said, no, she's fine. She's just a little weak. The doctor says she's not getting enough exercise, and her blood pressure went low, so they are, Dennis just walked by back. I don't know what the heck he was doing outside, but he's trying to be quiet because he knows I'm doing my podcast. He's the best. He is the best. I don't know how he got over there, because now I see him coming back on, but I didn't see him get out and go out there. Anyway. So he said, they're checking her blood pressure medication, but they're leaving her, she's going to be in the hospital a couple of days. So we're like, here we are. We feel like jerks going to Bermuda, and our 86-year-old mother is in the hospital. It's like, oh my God. But John said, no. And she had been in the hospital, so we found out Friday. She went in the hospital Wednesday. And Daddy didn't want to call me and tell me because he didn't want to ruin my vacation. I'm like, if he would have called me, I could have gone and seen her before the trip. Anyway. Turns out she was fine. We were in contact with my brother the whole time. She improved. She's released. She's doing great. According to Daddy, she had physical therapy to help her start working on building up some strength. I mean, she really doesn't do anything, and she sleeps too much. She's, she's not making new memories. She's starting to, I don't know, maybe withdraw a little bit. I'm not sure. So she doesn't move around very much. She does, Daddy should be taking her to the store with him and things like that. I mean, they both need exercise. So hopefully in this new assisted living place, they will, she and Daddy will go and do something in the gym. They have a gym. And there'll be people there to help them, I think. So I hope my mother will work more on her strength and everything, but they changed her blood pressure medicine. And I guess she's fine. But, I mean, that was like, talk about putting a damper on things. And we're like, we can skip the cruise. We can just get on a train. Come visit. See her. No. She'll be fine. She's fine. The doctor says she's fine. Like, oh, God. So, anyway. So, I'm going up tomorrow to see her. To make sure I see her. That she's fine. And she was going to the doctor to get the paperwork done so that they could move into their new place. And so they've gotten the paperwork done, and so we'll go shopping for a shower curtain and things that they need for their new apartment, and move some stuff in and have lunch at their new place, and it'll be nice. So I'll get to see them start to get settled. I got them a Keurig style coffee maker because they can't have anything that has a hot plate. So they can't even have like a regular coffee maker where, where the glass carafe sits on a warmer. Can't have a warmer. They have a microwave. Can't have a hot plate. Can't have a, So, but they can have a Keurig. So I got them a Keurig style. I'm mad at Keurig. So I don't want them to have a Keurig. They don't want a Keurig anyway. But that's Keurig style because I have a gajillion Keurig K-cups in my basement that I can't use on the new Keurig 2 because they don't have the, electronic signature that Keurig likes. And I got tired of doing the hacks around that. It just makes me mad every time I do that. Evil companies. Rant. So I got him a Cuisinart, which uses K-cups. And I will bring him a box of K-cups that I have in my basement that I'm not using, and but it also has a cup where you can put your own coffee in to make, if you want to do that. So I will be bringing that as a housewarming gift for their new apartment, and we'll be going to buy a shower curtain and whatever else is on their list. And he wants to get a new TV outside filming, and they want to get a new TV, so Dennis printed off a whole thing about TVs from Consumer Reports so they can decide what TV they want. So it'll be good to see them, help get them started moving, so that will be fun. Okay, ramble. My next podcast, I will be considering my 3rd podiversary, although I'm halfway between. Like I said, 3 years ago I saw the Crafty Toads at Maryland Sheep and Wool and New Jersey Sheep and Wool. And I told them I had been thinking about doing a podcast. They, oh, you should do it. They were very encouraging. And then that afternoon, I went out and about on a sort of winery tour with my cousin. And so I was all dressed up. I had my makeup on. Oh, I forgot my lipstick. Oh, I'm sorry. I had my makeup on. I looked good. My hair looked good. You know, I looked good. So that night I went home and I recorded my first podcast. So that's why I looked the way I was so nervous. And that was 3 years ago on September 10th, 2016. I can't believe it's been 3 years, so. But this is episode 76, and thank you so much for all of you who have been with me since the beginning. I do appreciate you all, and thank you for everybody who's come on board during those 3 years. It's been so much fun for me, and the community, the online knitting community, is really amazing. And of course, the most fun part of it is it's not all online anymore. You know, I'm going to Rhinebeck with people who have become friends over the internet, and I had met a couple of them briefly at Rhinebeck right after I started my podcast. But, you know, for minutes we introduced ourselves. I didn't know who they were. They didn't know who I was. And then we got to know each other a little bit better. I watched their podcasts, and at Vogue Knitting Live that January, I had dinner with Sharon, who is the Moms with Yarn podcast. She hasn't done a podcast in a while, but she's a lovely woman. And Juanita, she spins on Instagram and Ravelry, and her podcast is called With These Hands, I think. And she, you know, she's a tell it like it is lady, man. She's a tell it like it is lady. If you want a good rant, she's the one for you. She's fun. And then 2 other women who don't have podcasts. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Simona. We're all in a knit night together, and Sharon and Juanita and Jerry and I are all sharing a Airbnb for Rhinebeck. So I've met Juanita, you know, a little bit, you know, for a few minutes, and in person, and Sharon, but I haven't met Jerry in person yet. She lives in Texas, so I'm looking forward to this. That'll be fun. It'll be a little hard to go to Rhinebeck with the idea that I'm not buying yarn. We'll see how I do. Like I said, I don't want to be silly about it, but I don't need any yarn. I don't need any yarn. And anyway, so, and I've, you know, Connie and Mani, who were so delightful hostesses in Santiago, Chile while we were there. Met them online, and they're wonderful, and we had such a lovely time together. And Leslie, we spent the afternoon with her in London when we were there last October. Just being able to, you know, meet people, and I've met people in, at festivals, and Danielle might be coming and staying with me overnight. Could happen. So, so there's that. And people give me lovely gifts. I almost forgot to tell you about my lovely gifts. I tried to print, the lovely Linda, who gave me the canopy shawl present, also sent me, and I tried to print it out and I couldn't, sent me, oh yeah, that's not gonna, oh, you might be able to see it. It's called the Little Greens, or the Green Sweater. And this is a sweater that is in the National Holocaust Museum. And this is a sweater of a little girl who was in Poland and lived in the sewers of Poland for 14 months and was, helped by some sewer workers in Poland during the Nazi occupation of Poland. And she had her sweater with her, and they survived and eventually got to Israel, and she became a dentist, and she ended up in New York, I guess, and is a retired dentist. But she had this sweater, and this sweater is now in the National Holocaust Museum. And Leah Stern has, you're not going to be able to see this, Leah Stern has rewritten this pattern, tried to reproduce this pattern, and it's available on Ravelry, and the proceeds go to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. And the lovely Linda, who is in our group, and she's so sweet, thought it was interesting and thought I would enjoy it, which I absolutely do, and sent it to me. It's a child size sweater, and the sizes are just right for my granddaughter. So I need to figure out if there's a yarn that I can use to make this sweater for my granddaughters in Florida. It is a short sleeve sweater, and if I, something that my daughter-in-law could wash easily and something they might wear, I don't know. I wonder if I could. It's got a patterning in it. Here's a picture of one that's been made from her pattern rather than the one I showed you before was the original one. So I wonder if I could do something like turn it into a dress. They might be more likely to wear it as a dress. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. But thank you so much, Linda. That was so sweet to think of me. And the proceeds go to the National Holocaust Museum. And the other thing I got was a lovely gift from Chevis, who has the Chevy Rail Stuff podcast. Oh, there's a very interesting bug crawling on my phone, but it's not crawling over my camera, so you can't see it. It's kind of crickety looking. And she sent me a package. She's so sweet. Pearl is going to save us all. Aren't you, Pup? You going to save us all? Yeah. Thank you, Pup. I'm trying to talk here. Don't worry, you're safe. Pearl is on the... She has taken up jewelry making, and she is doing soldering, and she has sent me these beautiful progress keepers. Oh, I should have brought, where's the knitting needle? With her soldering iron, and they're crystals. Pearl. Oh, that's you, Maisie. Maisie's here too. Maisie, you want to say hi? There's Maisie. Maisie, there you are. Say hi. Say hi. Yes. I'm talking about Chevis's gift she sent me. You saw it. So she sent me these beautiful progress keepers. Can you see them? Crystals, and I don't know, she didn't say what the green stone is, but aren't they beautiful? And she did the soldering. Look. How fun. So gorgeous. And these have lever backs, like an earring lever back. which is nice for using as a progress keeper. But one of the reasons I like the lever back better than like a lobster claw, I like the look of a lobster claw, but sometimes I have trouble opening them. But the other thing is sometimes they're too small. The nice thing about a lever back is it's nice and big, so you can use it as a stitch marker if you want to. It'll fit on most needles. So this needle I had it on is a US 6. You can see there's plenty of room. You could have it on a much bigger needle if you wanted to use it as a regular stitch marker. Anyway, these are so gorgeous. Thank you so much, Chevis. And she is planning on opening an Etsy shop and selling these. So she's been making them like crazy. If you watch her podcast, Chevy Rails Stuff is her podcast. I'm sure you watch it. She's amazing. I love her. And what a time she's had lately. She had her dog had emergency surgery because he ate one of her crystals. And anyway, go watch her podcast. You'll see. She has a new one out. It just went up yesterday. I have to look at it. I haven't seen, so I need to know what's happening. Too many things happening in her life. Anyway, these are so beautiful. Thank you so much, Chevis. So wonderful. I really appreciate them. So lovely things, lovely people in my life, my knitting life, and I so appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking the videos. It helps other people find me. And join the Ravelry group and post pictures. Whatever. So, anyway, I hope you have lots of time to do the crafts that bring you joy, and I will see you soon. Bye. Oops. I can't turn you off.